Hey everybody, I'm here with another video, and I thought this would be a pretty cool topic that I think really starts becoming important as you start getting higher up in level. Um, this is a really basic, no, I want to say this is a basic position, but this is, I'm going to leave this up on the screen while I talk a little bit, and if anyone wants to try to guess what white's next move is, or what white maybe should play here, give it a shot. And I'll go over that, and then I'll give another example afterward. So the basic idea here is that you want to find, it's really easy when we're playing to think that we're playing all pretty normal moves and moves that are pretty good, right? And it's very easy to think, oh, this is a good move, so I'll play it. It can't be too bad. It's fine. But I think at a certain point you start realizing that about maybe 1 dawn, 3 dawn level, everyone starts playing pretty decent moves. Like, there's nothing that's ridiculous overplay. Like, they don't play like, you know, oh, I don't know, here or something, right? Or like they don't just like push this together. Although that's sometimes possible, not in this case. They don't really do that, right? So at a certain point, you want to start learning how to play better moves, right? You want to learn how to increase the efficiency of your stones. And that's what this kind of short little lesson is going to be about. So obviously we're paying attention to this group on the left, right? And we want to figure out how best to settle it. Black just settled his group, and now we want to settle our group. How should we approach this, right? So we've had this little probe, that's nice, and there's some cutting points in the center, but like, how are we going to settle our shape? Obviously there's a weak point here too that we have to cover. So we have to think, how do we best exploit all these options? Well, one thing we'd like to begin with, oh, well, if we do something like this, then this cutting point starts to be a problem, right? So if black tries to attack us, make it Atari, and can we cut? You have to read a bit, but actually, yeah, we can cut, right? There's no ladder because this is Atari. So they have to play this way, and then defend. Or defend, that's kind of the same either way. And then we have a nice forcing move. And then we can play here. And then if you stop reading here, you might be in trouble. You won't be in trouble here, but you know, in general, do we win the capturing race? I don't know. Let's see. What's the best way to capture it? Well, if we just take it, it's very easy to see. We have 4 liberties and black has 3. So this works. Can we make our move better, right? Can we extend down? And if we do this, black has 4 liberties, we have 4 liberties, but we've lost a move. So what happens? Well, it's actually fine because this is not really a threat. Black can do this and we can gain an extra liberty. So we still have 4 to 4, but we have Sente now. Can black play a different move? Well, any other move doesn't take a liberty, right? And that's pretty easy to see, so we would just win. So yeah, we can actually make our move even better by playing C18. So it's really important not to just stop here, right? And this is like a micro example, but the point of this is, oh hey, this move, this Hane Connect, is forcing. It's a really good forcing move. So can we make this move even better, right? Can we make this Hane connection better? Right, so like maybe we would want to play the Tiger's Mouth, but then there's this Atari, and then our shape is not necessarily better. There's still a cut here, but maybe it's not better. So can we make this move more natural? Can we get this move in a more natural way, right, than just defending? You know, and maybe we don't want to make this hunt. Maybe we'd want to play here or something in the future, right? It's not clear. But anytime we play this, if our group is weak and black plays something like this, we're pretty happy to just come in, right? We're reducing this huge moyo that black invested a lot of stones in and settling our group. So that's always a good result. So we can kind of assume this is Sente for this, which means you don't have to play it until it's necessary. Okay. There's also, we don't necessarily want to cut on either side right away, right? Because if we cut, if we don't have to make this cut, right, somehow this gets settled without it, then we want to retain the possibility to ladder the stone or take the center. So we don't want to make that exchange either. So given all that, we're thinking about, okay, how can we get this move or this move in Sente, or like in a natural way so that it does more than one thing? We want to improve this move. Well, this move, if I start thinking about, oh, this one's in a pretty good place, maybe I could start doing something with this group to get this move. And this is, so if it were me, my first thought was something like here. And then if cross-cut like this, and maybe can defend like this. Right, this is what I came up with when I was looking at this position. But actually, I got this position from the AlphaGo teaching tool, and this still kind of works, but it's not great because you lose the capturing rate. Well, you don't lose the capturing race, but it's a pain because they can connect out, and then this group is not alive, to put it simply, right? So like we have to take either side, they connect up and connect, and so it's not really clear that this thing up here is going to live, to be honest. I think it's dead. I didn't read it out beforehand, so I'm just going to say probably dead. Maybe can live, but probably dead. So because of that, we're still looking for a way to make this move better, and sometimes you can't make it better, but if there's a way, we'd like to do that, right? And it's way more efficient. And the move that AlphaGo came up with is, I'm taking this from the teaching tool, is to play here, which looks really weird, right? When you look at this shape, your normal instinct is anything that's kind of symmetrically from this point over this way is like a vital point. But this is a very strange looking move because it's large, nice move to the second line, not easily cuttable as an attachment, right? But actually, what happens if black, cuts it? Well, you could just haunt it and block. This Atari is not important if we can just take the stone. I mean, sure, this is more solid, but this group down here, not alive anymore. At least not without, like, making us basically alive. And then we still have this co potential, right? And this co is basically the same thing. Black, I mean, all these moves would be in co, but there's not really a good move for black now, right? Like, you can even just do this and then come here. Obviously, this is like a really long co, but it's like you're risking very little as white, and it'd be really annoying. Not to mention you settle your group in Sente. So this move anticipates this cut, which sets up this clamp, and I'm changing the move order because if you go here, well, then white's going to do this, and you're not in good shape no matter what you do. And then you can just push because you're still threatening to clamp, and then connect. Get this in Sente, and you're like basically alive, and all you did was make a small sacrifice. That's not even really a sacrifice because you could still do things like clamp or other annoying uses of the Aji. So this is a really cool move for that reason. So what if black just defends? Well, now we've gotten a result that's like pretty good. It's better than we would expect, right? So now we can haunt it. If black cuts is the same shape, right? Same kind of the deal. So black should probably not take, but maybe just extend to avoid the Atari. And then we can play here, and this shape is Sente, right? Maybe black can Atari once. And at this point, we could say, oh, this is in ko still. So we might, leave it and play elsewhere, or play somewhere completely elsewhere. Because if black tries to really attack us, there's still this ko, and there's still this ladder for the outside. We're actually pretty safe. If you're not comfortable with the ko, just connect. It's still Sente. Harass this group a bit. And black, you push a couple times, and black's under attack. Not gonna die, but it's a pretty annoying shape for black to deal with. Actually, we're getting pretty close to dying, but yeah, that's not the point. Okay, so this kind of combination is really cool, and the whole premise of it is you have this kind of forcing Sente move, but you want to set it up so that's better than it can normally be. I actually played a game a few days ago that the opening is not really important, but we get to this position, and I played this wedge, which I thought was a really good move, right? Because like normally the thought process is, hey, I have these 2 stones. If they're dead, I should leave them. You know, get my forcing move somewhere else. But if I can save them, you know, that'd be good too. And I can save them like this, just push out and attack. They save their stone. Maybe I cut this. Then they take Sente. And that's like, okay. It's not bad, you know, if they come here or something. But it's not really making the best use of my stones. And so I played this wedge. The idea being, hey, if he goes here, which he did, if he goes here, I can just connect. He wants to attack me, right? So he's not gonna. If he comes down here, I can just play here. And then if he defends, I can come here, and he's actually dead. He can't break out. And even though it looks scary, this move is really annoying. There's a bit of a ladder thing here, but we're fine for liberties, so it doesn't really matter, and always can come back here. So yeah, not really anything to worry about. So if he wants to attack me, he has to play here. I can cut. There's not really, like, the best he can do is this, but then I still just jump out. Sorry, if he plays that way, I have to jump this way. But there's a ladder, so no big deal. And if he, you know, defends or something, I defend, and this group he has to connect up, and his group is separated and split, and it's pretty tough. So he played this way, which also makes sense. I think it's worse, but it makes sense. I pushed up, and if he takes, then I can just cover. So it's not good. He comes out, and then I connect. And by making this exchange first before pushing, I've actually split the original jump, which makes my move better, right? The push is better. He comes here, and in retrospect, I should have just come here, because even if he connects under, I can take the stone, and later I'm still able to cut. If he goes like this, I could take the 3 stones, and if he connects, I can peep once, which is a pain, and I'll be able to get a lot of forcing moves out of this group later. But not a big deal. I actually was kind of greedy, so I played the Hane. He connected, and then I extended. Actually, I think in the game I pushed up first. This move order is probably backwards. And then I peeped, he connected, and then he extended. And at this point, I was, you know, I just didn't want him to get a forcing move like J18, threatening to cut. So I played here, which is really solid. Lets me link up here or link up here. He wanted to deny me so if I block, he's denied me this connection in Sente. So now he might come here to allow him to link up, and which puts pressure on my group, right? So I didn't do that because I could still block here or take the stone to live, and so I just net, and these 5 stones died, or are dead. He tried to save them, and he's just a little short, and he cut, and at this point he resigned because these are caught. Which is fine, but actually, so this all turned out really well for me, right? Like, this whole sequence is pretty good. He got kind of greedy with this Hane. He should probably just defend. But, and obviously the position is difficult for him, but that's because of a lot of other reasons. But actually, this move was not the best move. I reviewed this game later with Leela, or actually it's Elf, but Elf suggests to play here, which makes a lot of sense, and it's really interesting. So the idea here is, obviously black can't cut for the same reasons I said before, and can't cut this way because you could just turn and net. And there's actually, like, black can try to take these stones, I think, although it's really difficult. You guys gotta go like this, like that, and then you start getting kind of squeezed. So if you Teneki here, right, which you can do, you always leave the option for white to take these 2 stones because you can't save them. White might just leave it here because there's no way to break out, right? If you cut, then just throw in, and oh, I guess this works. So can't quite do that, but it's still, like, you know, not that big to take these, and I get this in Sente. So it's a pretty annoying, you know, this wall's great. This top is big, but it's only the only area black has, and I would, you know, black has nothing on the rest of the board. Yeah, so it's kind of annoying, and black obviously can't push out because this ladder doesn't work. right, runs into a stone, and then if you do this, just take. Pretty straightforward. There's a normal tesseract here, which is the clamp. Doesn't quite work here. And there might be some other tesseract, but the problem is that if you try to do anything that takes more time, then you're just squeezed. So it doesn't really matter. Yeah, and was there any other variation? Don't think so. I think you can try cutting, but then actually white can play here. If you Atari, you can just connect, and this is pretty hard. Actually, there's a better way. So if you connect, you can just Hana and there's a snapback, right? That's a straightforward line. If you Atari, I'm pretty sure I can actually just Atari here. If you take, it's a ko, but this is a great ko for white. Connect, there's a snapback. Yeah, that's much more straightforward than trying to make some life in here. It's been a couple days. So anyway, black can't cut here, which is fine, but I was worried that black would push, and then if black pushes, my shape is not great because now the cut works, and he's threatening to come around me. So if I extend, then he's going to cut. Not great. I didn't realize making this exchange and then wedging might make the wedge even better, which is kind of the moral of the story. If he plays here, for instance, connect, defend, this is actually still the same shape as before, just with this exchange, so now he can't break out. It looks scary, but actually this just kills. Right? I have barely enough liberties to be fine, and there's nothing he can do. He has 1, 2, 3, 4. I have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. We have one shared. It's not a big deal. I think best way is to Hana here. I didn't read it beforehand. Or this one. Nope, not that one. I think Hana is good. Because my intuition is like... well, if he plays there, I can just go down and then this kills, but he's going to Hana, in which case I want to play here, and then he doesn't have enough time to fix the cutting points, right? And he doesn't have time to kill me. So Hana seems to be good. I have to read the throw-in. I should have done this before, to be honest. If I just extend, he takes here. That seems fine. Because if he goes here, he connects, I can actually go here. Can't connect because of Atari, can't squeeze because he dies first. He can connect, but then I take, and that's a problem because now if he just comes, it's short. Yeah, didn't read it before, but seems, yeah, Hana is best and throw-in doesn't quite work. I could be wrong, just read it right now, so I could be wrong. But main point is, this move makes the wedge better. Obviously, you have to read this out beforehand to play this combination. And usually the more you try to improve moves, the more you have to read. And that's kind of how you use your reading to gain an advantage. The other line is with black wedging here, and then you can actually cut. If black cuts here, right, you can actually just Hana. Black might try to save this stone somehow. Don't really know how. Then you just can go down. There's not really anything black can do, I don't think. Like, it looks pretty dead to me. You know, just short. I guess you can go here, but, you know, same problem. It's a dead shape. And then this group's not totally alive. You'd have to, like, do this. And then you're losing... like everything except for the main group, I guess. Yeah, so can't cut, so just here. And then actually this one you have to just kind of use some positional judgment to judge. Black can't cut because you would die. There's actually a decent amount of reading I didn't realize because most of this is straightforward to me, but so you can probably read up to here pretty quickly. You might have to read like, oh, what if black Hana is, but that's pretty easy because you can play here, which is the vital point of 3, right? Center of 3 is the vital point, aiming at the cut and aiming at these stones. There's no cut here because even if, you know, black wants to do something, you have to do something like this. Maybe you can take these, sort of, but then your group up here is dead. You got something in the center, but this whole thing died. Maybe it's even-ish. I think I like white a little bit because the whole territory of this is just so big. And this is not points, and connecting here is really big later. Corner is now safe. Your benefit's just the center, but I don't know. I like white a little. You'd have to evaluate it yourself, I guess. But if you come to here, make it a little bit of forcing exchange, you could probably start evaluating it here and then be like, oh, there's no threat here, right? For same reason. And obviously in this case you could fight back, and black has two groups in the center, which is great. So if you evaluate it like here, I think, yeah, white's better. The whole right side is pretty hard to develop, and this is super flexible. Like, you also don't have to fight this. You could just give these up and just play, I don't know, push once and then here. That's pretty reasonable and a pretty nice sized chunk of space. Yeah, so if you evaluate it here and you see like, oh, this is, you know, something that's playable or good for me, and possibly better than just wedging, and because like this was black's alternative, right? In the other situation that I didn't play is like black plays here and black comes out, and our gain, I guess, is we lived inside, right? That was like the major goal. And so if we get to here and we're like, okay, don't want to live inside, we're looking at a shape like this or like this, where we like have to break out like that. Maybe here. Actually, probably better just to stand up. Like if we look at a shape like this, right, and it's not super clear because we have to do this, we can make this exchange. We are not bad. I would say white's winning, for sure. Like you could just compare, right? Like these two corners, this white's better. These two corners exactly the same, sides nothing, but white has this, and white has a little bit here, and Komi. So, you know, and white has Sente. And so that, like, this has to be a good position for white, but it's not, definitely not as easily good as the variation when we're here and like this, right? This is clearly good for white. Like this is such a huge amount. So if you have the reading ability, this move makes the wedge even better. And that's kind of the moral, is like as you get stronger, part of what allows you to play better moves is your reading, but also having the discipline to continue reading and finding better moves as the game goes on. Or like, you know, I was like, oh, wedge, you know, that's a pretty good shape, and to me that's like a good move. But, you know, for someone maybe a little bit stronger, they may be like, oh, wedge, that's a normal move, and this one's a good move. And then maybe some like, you know, super AI, like beyond AlphaGo or whatever, it's like, oh, you know, this move, this is a normal move, and maybe there's like some even better move that I can't conceive, you know, that makes this even better. And so that's kind of like how the progression of getting stronger, right? You start playing moves that are pretty normal, like maybe you know your first Joseki. Well, this is pretty normal. Maybe you know your first Joseki, right? Like this is pretty normal. And then you learn, oh hey, if I have a stone here, I have a better move. I can make this work better and, you know, coordinate my stones together. It's like a Joseki, but it makes my stones better in this situation. It's obviously a lot harder to, you know, to find them in like super standard shapes. It's something that's much more applicable in like this kind of case where it's not something you've seen a lot before, and so it's something you should really consider working out and seeing what you can do, right? Because like my intuition is here, the other intuition for me is like to peep. I think this was actually AlphaGo, Leela's move was to peep, and then just pull back or to jump, which is, you know, reasonable, but definitely not like this move makes it a lot better, and it only works because you begin with the awareness of these weak points and what you're trying to accomplish with it, like having this move basically in reserve, right? We could think of situations like maybe black just extends. Well, in this case, we don't want to play this hanging connection, right? We would get cut. You know, this is not great for eye space. You just connect, and then in this case, then this shape is not the throw-in, is much better, right? Because we have a strong base here on the side. Maybe instead of the last move, we can also consider just playing here, and now we're basically alive. Like if they throw in, like, doesn't really matter. Block's not alive, right? And so by changing the move order, we also gain the ability to improve our moves in different ways with like better shape or different options. We also might be able to push here. I didn't read it beforehand. I just thought of this example now. But at least this, right? Okay, so I think you guys get the idea, and I thought it was an interesting topic, something that's definitely, I noticed for me, like when I have games where I lose and I don't know why I lost, then this is, especially when I was playing a very defensive style, I felt like I didn't make any real mistakes, but then I would still lose. And part of it is my moves were like hitting par for where I was, but it wasn't, my moves were not getting better, or they were not good, good enough to get to that next level. And so finding ways to improve your moves is a really key step. Okay, thank you for watching, and I'll catch you all next time.